I have a lot of random theories on different subjects and topics, and so I'm going to talk about them. Just think of these as thought experiments. I don't think there's any harm in exploring different avenues of thought. It's no different than people taking parallel universes or time travel seriously and trying to figure out those possibilities. It's all just the exploration of different ideas. That's what my channel's all about. So this first one, I think that water and oil are byproducts of metabolic processes deep below the earth, meaning I think water and oil regenerate. We've discovered vast quantities of water deep below the crust. It's trapped in this mineral called ringwoodite and can, I guess, and gets released into the different oceans. I think there's some estimations that there's twice as much water under the mantle than in the actual oceans in the earth. There's something called the deep biosphere. It's like 5 to 10 kilometers below the crust is just teeming with bacteria and archaea. About 90% of all bacteria and archaea are underneath the surface. They basically feed on different hydrogen and methane and sulfur compounds found in rocks. And they release different nitrates and manganese and iron oxides. The metabolic rate below the crust is super slow. For like one cell to divide can be thousands of years. They seem to live indefinitely. But I wonder if there is an even deeper biosphere that is helping to produce water. All you need is hydrogen and oxygen. There's some sort of microbial metabolic process underneath the mantle. It can lead to the production of water, perhaps. Likewise, for oil, they've found bacteria living in these oil reservoirs, and they're able to change and alter the quality of the oil. But I wonder if, again, there's some metabolic process where oil is actually being created. It could still be a very slow process, but I think it's regenerative, and the same with water. Number 2, happiness is a mental disorder. Dopamine is one of the main things you have that makes you feel good and happy, and it's not the natural state of the human body to be flooded with dopamine. You have to do something in order for dopamine to be released. It's like if you have a really nice house and someone comes in and installs a breaker into your house, so anyone can just come in and turn off your security system. So that's what I think dopamine is. It's a way for other organisms and parasites to make you complacent in your environment so that they can take advantage of you. Happiness is not the natural state of the body. It's a chemically induced state, which you could say all things are, but it seems that it goes hand in hand with being complacent and unaware of your environment and ecosystem when you're supposed to always be aware of it. I think it was some sort of viral addition to the body that got added in sometime during our evolution for any organism can take advantage of our ecosystem. Number 3, I think the sky is home to giant floating amoeba. They're camouflaged within their environment, so we don't pick them up in our spectrum of light. The sky or the atmosphere just seems too big of an ecosystem or a biome to be unoccupied. Obviously, there's things like spiders and birds that go in the sky, and there's all kinds of bacteria and microorganisms that float up, but nothing lives there. Nothing is occupying that as its niche. I think this would also account for many of the unidentified flying objects in the sky. It's somehow able to catch a glimpse of them. I also wonder if that's why blimps and airships and zeppelins fell out of use. They probably kept crashing into them. And so they'd just crash for no reason, but they're really just hitting these giant sky amoeba. Number 4, I think that cancers are sleeper cells. I think there are a set of conditions where the cell is reverted back to some kind of pre-animal stage where it is more of just a growth, something closer to a fungus. The sort of genetic sleeper cell sequence, it gets triggered when there's too many parasites or pathogens in the body, and it does this in order to self-destruct the host. It's a fail-safe, kind of like apoptosis, except the sleeper cell, the cancer, is destroying the whole host in order to likely protect the community or the herd. Now, there may be other ways in which it accidentally gets triggered, or that you might be able to stop it if you get rid of the parasites, the underlying problem, but there may still be a way you have to deactivate it. Number 5, I don't think the sun causes any sickness. There's no sun illness or sun disease. What I think happens is your skin can get burned, of course, just like cooking food. It gets burned, and this destroys the top layer of your skin. But that itself is not a disease. That's why when you've been out in the sun all day and you get burned, it's not until after you leave the sunlight, when you go home or go in the shade or the sun sets, that you start to get itchy and inflamed. Basically, with your outer layer of skin damaged, all these microorganisms around you can then attack your body. Other than that observation, I do have a personal anecdote why I think so, but yeah, basically the sun can only damage your skin to the point where your skin is not susceptible to all those parasites and pathogens in your environment. Number 6, I think I've talked about this before, but I don't believe that grasslands are a biome. They're basically like an in-between ecosystem. They're preparing for forests. The reason is because grass doesn't have any climax species. There's no apex grass species. Now, I know that grass and trees and plants, they're not separate categories, but it's based off of their species. Like, you can have species of grass and tree that are within the same genus. But I don't think there's any species of grass that has reached an apex. Meaning at some point, grasslands will be taken over by trees, so long as you don't do controlled fires. Or as long as you're not trying to stop a forest from growing, the forest will take over. I guess that's enough for one video. If you guys want to see more of these random theories or thought experiments, let me know. Thanks for watching.